Welcome to the Buckhorn Podcast. I'm Brandon Martell, and with me is Randy, and Garrett's on the phone because he could not make it here today. So, Randy, we need to hear about the story you've got going on.
No, Garrett.
Or Garrett. Yeah, shit.
Garrett's the one on the phone.
Garrett's on the phone.
Garrett, you there with us?
Yes, I'm here with you.
Oh, well, you're not here with us, but we understand.
So what happened today? Your car broke down. You went out of town to get something else, and some.
Just walk us through from the time you got up this morning to this point.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is not going to be released, right?
Not yet.
I mean, it might be released. Just a heads up. So if you want to not divulge some information,
change the names to protect the innocent.
I would get I would get destroyed for this.
Well, this will probably be episode 1, so not many people will hear it.
This is true, but it'll be backlogged. So if we do good, it'll come back.
Yeah, at that point, you won't care.
At that point, we'll be making billions of dollars, and it won't matter.
Yeah, no, I probably shouldn't do that. But yeah, I guess the long story short would be, I was supposed to have a mechanic fix my car, and they tried to fix it a couple times and didn't quite happen, and it worked for 2 weeks just fine, and then screwed up again. And they told me like 3 days in a row that they were going to be there that day and didn't show up. And finally decided like the next day to let me know that they're like, oh yeah, we were there yesterday and it's going to need a lot of work. You may just want to give it to somebody else. And I was like, well, I've been here all day and you couldn't have gotten to the car. So basically they lied to me about coming to check my car out finally. And so now we had to ride down to my mother-in-law's to borrow her car for a few days while mine's in a real shop getting fixed.
And your mother-in-law lives where?
Do what?
I said, where does she live?
So where does your mother-in-law live?
They're near like Waverly.
Yeah, so you're getting down in the southern part of Ohio pretty well.
Yes.
Which is where all the fun stuff happens.
23.
Right.
So.
So how did your trip to Waverly go then?
It was an all right trip for the most part. Of course, we get down there and the kids want to play with Grandma, and then they want to see their Papa, who they don't live together, but they wanted to see him too. So we were able to see both of them and spend some time with them. And then he had some car issues that came up as well. So that kind of took an extra few minutes.
So when you say car issues, his car broke down?
Did he also have a problem with the mechanic?
I can't be baited into that.
Pass. You pleading the fifth on that one?
Hard pass.
I can't hear you.
I said hard pass on that.
A heart attack?
Yes, a heart attack. A very, very mild heart attack.
Yes.
Basically, what we're learning today is cell phones work sometimes.
Yeah, this setup we have going is kind of janky, but we're trying to make it work.
But it's okay. So anyway, you're headed back home now, right?
You're heading back home today, correct? Oh.
Did we lose him?
You still there?
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could put you on speakerphone to hear you any better, but no, it's still kind of the same thing. Like I can hear Martell fairly clearly, but Randy, like, it's just like he's in the background mumbling.
I wonder if it can't be a microphone thing.
That might just be me mumbling.
It's in there secure, so. Well, so you're on your way back now, right?
Yeah, we're on our way back. So I've got to, follow them home and make sure they're good. And then, I don't know. I don't know if the day will be too far away from us by the time I get back or not. I don't know if they're stopping or what the deal is on the way home.
Gotcha. So what are you driving right now?
I have a Ford Focus.
And that's the mother-in-law's car.
Yes, and it is very small, but it runs, which means it's a lot better than my car right now.
You went from a fancy Lexus to a Ford Focus.
That is one end of the spectrum to the other. Lexus to a Focus.
To be fair, it's like a 97 Lexus. It's still better than a Focus, you're right.
It's still better than a Ford.
Whoa, hey, calm down. Calm down there. Let's not get on the whole Ford kick right now. So, Garrett, it's been 3 weeks since we last really talked. What else is new?
What else is new with me?
Yeah.
This bait again?
No, it's genuine conversation between friends.
I am,
Have you been doing something you shouldn't have? Like you work in the corner or something?
I was going to say, I wasn't trying to bait you, but now I'm intrigued as to what you might have been thinking.
I can't understand you. I'm sorry.
He said, now that you've asked if we're trying to bait you into something else, what have you actually been doing?
What have I actually been doing?
Yeah. If you think we're trying to bait you into something else.
What are you hiding?
Oh.
What are you hiding?
I'm hiding a small rubber band somewhere.
Yeah, how'd that go, buddy?
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do it again sometime. And I just think that everyone listening should eat a lot of fiber all the time, even when you don't think you need it. Eat more of it.
For somebody who works out as much as you do, like you cycle like hundreds of miles for fun. I've never seen maybe it's because you're on a bike too much.
I was going to say, maybe that's the problem. It's the bicycle seat. It does have an impact on men. Unless you got one of those ergonomical ones where your balls sit between the hole in the seat. You there? Did we lose you again, Garrett?
I'm trying to hear that better.
Did you put the window down?
Nope, no better.
He's like, I'm going to throw my phone out the window just to see if I can hear you guys any better. Maybe it's your phone. You have an iPhone, don't you?
You rocking that iPhone?
Do I have an iPhone?
Yeah.
I've got an Android.
Oh, so all three of us are on Android phones.
Man, there weren't that joke.
No, I mean,
No, I know.
I could
Shit.
I could try to download Skype or something. I don't know how well it would work on the road, but
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be any better. Maybe your phone speaker's just garbage.
like I can hear you, like I can hear Martell, like when you speak like super loud and super clear, but like when it gets into like regular like conversation style tone, everything just sounds like muddled, like you're in the background.
Oh. Well, I think this is a good test for some of the equipment we have to see what works and what doesn't.
Right.
I don't know that there's actually an option in the setup that I have today to do Skype, but in the future there will be.
Maybe I will just talk slower.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of his mouth?
I just went over a bridge and I didn't hear anything.
All right, so this probably isn't going to work.
So, Garrett, you just go ahead and drive, get home safe, and then we will see you next week.
Okay, we can do that.
And then Randy and I will just continue with the recording and go from there.
All right. Or if you guys want to text me everything that you say, and then I'll hurry and text you back real quick.
While driving.
Yes, while driving. And I'm sure that would work just fine.
Hey, I'm down for that. I mean, you just went over a bridge, so.
Yeah, no, I can text on bridges. I just can't listen on bridges.
All right, buddy. We'll be safe. We'll catch you next week.
See, there you are. I heard you plain as day then.
Maybe it's because you were too far in the south.
That could be it, too.
So are you better now?
A little better.
What if I step on my microphone like this again?
It's because you accidentally stepped.
That's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Just stand like that, Martel. You're fine.
Yeah, I stepped on the mic stand, and now you can hear Randy.
It's magic.
Yeah, it was just when Randy say something again.
Something again.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Oh, there went that theory.
All right, man. Well, we'll catch you next week.
All right, good luck. Sorry about this.
Hey,
Nope,
no big deal.
It's all good, man. Take care of everything.
All right.
All right, later.
Sam.
We'll see you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. So obviously Garrett's out, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for that. He had some issues that he actually divulged to us before recording.
That we were trying to get him to spill the guts on.
Yeah,
but he,
we wanted him to share it, but some of it was pretty personal. So I'm not going to push a buddy too far for the first episode. Maybe by the 4th or 5th, we'll get it out of him. Let's just say Southern Ohio is its own country, really. It's you get down to Wellston or Ironton or, have you ever been through Colton?
No, I've never been through Colton.
Yeah, Colton is. I used to. I got a job after being in banking selling supplemental insurance, kind of like Aflac but without the duck.
Yeah.
And we had some really good policies because we had this killer cancer policy that was really cheap. And I would go down there where these people are, everybody's getting cancer because everything in Southern Ohio is polluted and nasty and there's power lines everybody lives under and all that. So I get all these names and these places to go. And I went to Colton and I drove through it like 4 times before I realized I was driving through it. I mean, it's like a 3-way stop sign is the main intersection. There's nothing there.
Also, it's like driving through Carroll or Toronto.
No, it's worse than Carroll either.
Oh, even smaller than that?
Way smaller, yeah. Way smaller. As I remember, it's been about a decade. But, yeah, no, Southern Ohio, if he had to go down there to get a vehicle to get him through the next week while his gets fixed, I can understand why he didn't make it back out. He's just trying to stay alive at this point.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious as to what's wrong with this car that we couldn't just fix it over here at my house.
We probably should have told him that both of us have wrenched on our own vehicles.
Right.
Like several times. I mean, I'm rebuilding an 82 Ford right now, and you've been under the hood of I don't know how many vehicles.
Who knows? I've been doing it since I was 5.
And you currently own a Toyota.
I currently own a Toyota.
And, he's got the Lexus. We probably could have fixed, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say we could, but Garrett, when you hear this back, our bad for not telling you we might have been able to fix it for you.
At least take a look at it and tell you what's wrong.
Yeah, tell you what's wrong until you go let somebody else fix it. But
right. Well, speaking of, so when was the first time you started working on vehicles? What age?
Oh, what age? Man, well, when I was born, Dad went to school to be a mechanic.
Okay.
And he used to wrench on semis and whatnot. But when I was born, he was actually a Ford mechanic. So I was born in 83. I got this 82 Ford now.
So that's where that Ford thing comes from.
Yeah. So and we've had Chevys too. Like I had a 78 Chevy. Dad had a Chevy in the late 80s, maybe early 90s that he had a patch of ice and totaled it. And yeah, I've just, we're rebuilding a 52 Chevy now. That's actually got a really cool story behind it. It was bought brand new in 1952 by the Adams County Fire Department.
Okay.
It just basically hauled a water tank. It was a 3/4 ton. And for 20 years, they just used it to haul water around. Well, by 72, 52 is obviously outdated, so they sold it, and my great-grandpa bought it. And he had, I forget how big his farm was, like a kabillion-acre tobacco farm, right? So he bought this 52 Chevy in 1972 and took it out to the farm and used it there. So at this point, it had civil service, and then it got farm truck use.
Oh, so it's just been beat to shit.
Well, it was, but the thing was, it's actually really well taken care of.
I'm just talking about suspension, bushings, things like that.
Yeah,
just
so it went out to the
hell.
farm, and even then, they were still doing a lot with horses.
Yeah,
down there, and then I think it was 74. My grandfather, his son-in-law was in the Air Force. He actually became an E9 EOD. So he was bomb squad. He was in Vietnam and all that. And they were over there when he was back home from overseas. The whole family was over there. And my granddad said, "Hey, this truck quit running. If you can get it running, you can have it." If I recall the story correctly from Dad, it was like a battery or something. It was a real simple fix.
Something stupid.
Yeah, but Granddad's like, "I don't need it." So he took it from Southern Ohio down close to the river out to New Jersey and started serving an Air Force base. And he would basically do all this bomb squad crap with it. So it went from, civil service with fire department to a farm truck to being used on a military base.
Just to haul stuff around.
Just for whatever an EOD chief master sergeant needed it. So eventually my dad ended up with it. We're rebuilding it now. And it was pretty rust free, and we've got it down to where we're getting ready to do body work, and that's it. So we're about to get it back up and running. It's pretty close to stock. So we've got an old Chevy. Last year, Dad and I drove to that state up north and bought a 49 Chevy. So that's sitting in the wings. But yeah, he's got a 76 Ford. He's got a 2013 Ford EcoBoost. So I've always liked Fords, but I'm not brand loyal. But if I were to buy a new truck, it'd be a Ford, just because I don't think the EcoBoost can be beat.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm not up to snuff on my American trucks at this point. I know I like the Raptor.
Yeah.
Just the way that it looks. To be honest, I haven't stayed with it, so I don't even know what V8's in it, or if they're using a twin turbo V6 for that thing. And I know that the Ford's doing the Ranger in a Raptor mode,
yeah,
which looks pretty awesome. And then the new Bronco is pretty cool. And if I can get one of those in white, I might be down for that.
With not OJ license plates, right?
Or OJ Special.
Just get innocent on the license plate.
So I don't know if I were going to get a new truck today and it had to be an American truck, whether it's Chevy or Ford, which one I would pick up. I know that people swear by the Silverado or, whatever, the GMC 1500. But if I had to buy a truck today, honestly, God, I'd probably go with the Toyota, the Tacoma or the Tundra.
Yeah. For midsize, I think Toyota can't be beat. Ever.
That Tundra is a huge truck.
It is.
I drive an FJ. The FJ, it's a smaller SUV on a truck frame, but it's pretty good. And I pull up next to guys that are in lifted Tundras, and I'm just like, man, I'd really like to have one of those. It's got that 5.7 liter V8 in it.
Yeah.
It's way more than what I'm ever going to need to do stuff around this house. But I can remember back when I was a kid, though, that my dad was a Chevy guy.
Yeah.
Through and through. It was everything we had is Chevy S10. We had multiple Chevy S10s, but his favorite truck was his Chevy Love Diesel.
Yeah.
And we had two of them because you couldn't buy one without having a parts truck. So
right.
We had the one he drove, and then we had this parts truck. And then once that thing finally died, he couldn't find another one to replace the parts on it. And that thing that's what I learned to drive. 4-speed manual on the floor. And I had to drive that thing.
Yeah.
And then I ended up taking my driver's test in a minivan.
So yeah,
which sucked.
I learned in a 94 or 95 Dodge Caravan. I don't think I tested in it, but that's what I learned to drive in.
So I tested in a Mercury Villager.
Oh yeah.
Of all things, which my dad said I'll never buy another Ford product again. After owning that,
it's like one of the worst Ford. That's like saying because you had a Pinto and it blew up, you'll never buy another Ford.
Right. And that thing
I don't want a Ford GT40 because I had this Pinto 30 years ago.
That thing was awful. It was the only cool thing about it as being a kid is it had headphone jacks in the back, so in its own cassette player, I think. So you could just drop your own cassette and drop a headset in it. That was cool, but I can remember wrenching on cars with my dad when I was 10, 12. Laying we lived on a hill, legitimately the road was a hill. My dad would block the wheels and do he would do transmission work or clutch changes on this hill. So he'd block the road, he'd block the wheels and be like, "Hey Brandon, get out here and lay under the truck. I need you to hold this transmission for me." So I've got a 300-pound transmission at the age of 12 laying on my chest while he's doing clutch work.
Right.
And then from there it just kind of got progressively worse. My last project car was a 1998 Volkswagen GTI, and that thing, estimate on paper with the work that I did, I never actually got it running properly because I couldn't get the standalone system to work. Estimate in paper that with the big ass turbo, the 16 valve head, it was 400, 425 at the wheels, so somewhere around 450 crank power
when it ran.
If it ran.
If
it ran. I could start it to drive it up onto the trailer when I brought it down to the house after we finished building. I drove it off the trailer. I drove it into the garage. And then I pushed it out into the driveway and parted it out. Yeah. Because I just got tired of working on it.
Yeah, that's the thing with Volkswagens. If you like racing on vehicles, get a Volkswagen because that's all you'll ever do. Yeah. I had two of them.
I had two GTIs. They were identical to each other, both yellow. One was on paper 420 some horsepower. The other one was 95 stock.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I had my first car ever was a 1992 Toyota Tercel. and it was a single overhead cam, 1.8 liter, I think 1.8 liter single overhead cam. Stock horsepower was 83 in that thing.
That's amazing.
The funny thing was, I had to go to court. I had a few speeding tickets in a Tercel of all things.
Yeah, how'd you get a speeding ticket in a Tercel?
Dad and I and Grandpa, we rebuilt the engine, put a new clutch in, and then I started putting money into it because this was like pre-Fast and Furious when I got it, but went through that phase where Fast and Furious came out, so everybody's modifying whatever they had.
Yeah.
And that's what I had. And, I'm just out of high school, and I was probably working at a gas station or something, making minimum wage. And I got to the point where I was building it all up. It handled like a go-kart. It turned amazingly. I think when I got done building it, I might have been pushing 105 to 110 horses total. And that's with like everything I could throw into this engine, right? So I was in Circleville up Court Street back in the day. Everybody used to cruise up and down Court Street. People just lined the streets. Once Fast and Furious came out, it drew out everybody. And I was driving home one night, and I was at this light, coming up on a red light, and in the right-hand lane was this big lifted Dodge Cummins diesel. Got the stacks and 35. So I get in the left lane, and my windows are down because I had a really cool system because that made me fast too.
Yeah, and the additional weight.
Right, exactly. That's what you need in a car that has 83 horsepower stock is weight. So the guy's got his windows down. I had somebody else in the truck with him. I was like, "Hey, nice truck, man." He said, "Thanks." Well, by the time the light turned green, some other cars had gotten up behind us, and we'd gone back, and he kind of took off. Well, what I didn't realize was prior to me getting to this intersection, he'd cut off the vehicle that was behind him. And so I go down Court Street. I'm getting ready to turn to go out of town and head home because we lived outside of town there. And I thought, I want to make one more pass. So I go to the end of the strip, and I turn around and come back. And all of a sudden, there are these cops in uniform in the middle of the road, like waving me down. And this cop, like, I slow down, and, as I approach him, and he pounds on my hood. He's like, "Pull over now, get over here." So I was like 17, 18, maybe 19 at the time. But, I'm freaking out. Like, what did I do? I hadn't been speeding. I had, aside from having a system and some neons on my car, I was like, what did I do wrong when everybody else on the strips got, all this crap going on?
Yeah.
And he started calling me out saying I drag raced this Dodge because when the light turned green, after I told this Dodge, nice truck, he just lit it up.
Yeah.
Black smoke pouring out, just going balls to the wall. And of course, a city block in Circleville is like, nothing.
6 inches.
You're talking, I'll put it to you this way. My car is a 5-speed. I never got out of second gear. In second gear in a 100 horsepower or less car, it gets you to like 20 mile per hour, so I coast to the next light. Well, the guy that he'd cut off was the chief of police with his wife, son, and newborn baby all in the vehicle.
Nice.
And I guess he almost wrecked this guy before I ever got on the scene.
Yeah.
So he called in and said, "Hey, these guys are drag racing right in front of me." I ended up having to go to court because my insurance card was outdated. So they said, "You don't have proof of insurance. You were drag racing, blah, blah." So I go to court, and I'm facing 5 years in jail for drag racing a Cummins diesel that's heavily modified in my 1992 Toyota Tercel.
Well, couldn't the chief of police even see that you didn't take off from the line?
Or was it just too much? Look really fast, so maybe.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I showed up to court, and I had to go to court 3 times because the officer didn't show up or something. I can't remember. I was too young to understand it, but I had an attorney with me, and represented me that my aunt knew. And finally, by the 3rd time we go in, the attorney steps up, and the judge is like, I'm standing there, and the judge is like, "Okay, here's what do you have insurance? And did you at the time?" "Yes, I can prove it. Here's the documents." And basically the attorney was like, "Look, we've been here 3 times and they've not done anything. I recommend this case get thrown out anyway, because there's no proof he was drag racing or doing anything reckless."
Right.
And the judge is like, "Okay, well, I want to hear his side of the story." So they're like, and I basically explained to him what I just told you. He said, "What kind of car are you driving?" I said, "A 1992 Toyota Tercel." He said, "Is that thing fast?" I said, "Sir, it's 83 horsepower, single overhead cam, 5-speed, and I couldn't even get out of second gear. Second gear tops out at like 25. And he kind of laughed. He said, $50 and get out of here. So I got off on that. But I've been wrenching on cars for on and off for as long as I remember. That car, actually, a buddy of mine rolled it 3 times. And the thing that blew my mind, he had this neon that we modified that was faster than mine and handled way worse. Mine, he lost control of going around a very slight curve. And this is before cell phones.
In second gear, 20 miles an hour.
Probably. But he lost it going around this backcountry road outside of Circleville. And cell phones, there was no texting back then, so I don't know what he was doing. He's probably going way too fast in a little car. Yeah. So he's out there doing whatever, and I get a call, and I was actually working at camp, and I get a call that he's like, I wrecked your car. And I'm like, okay, you okay? He's like, yeah, I think I'm okay. And I said, how bad is it? He's like, it's bad. Get out here. And I go out, and he didn't tell me at the time. He rode it 3 times. So that car got totaled.
I just wrecked your car.
Right. He's like, yeah, I wrecked it. I think it's done. I'm like, yeah, it's done.
I hit a tree.
Actually, somewhere on YouTube, there's a video of me like taking a ball bat to it for fun. And like, I think it's like angry fat kid beats herself with ball bat or something. We'll have to try and look it up.
We'll have to see if we can find that. We'll post it to the page.
Yeah. And all these people are commenting like, man, if that was my Tercel, I'd whoop that dude. And I'm like, you can tell it's rolled. We spray painted all over the hood, you know, and we're laughing when I hit with the ball bat. And everybody thinks I did all this damage with a Louisville Slugger or something. But after that, I kind of stopped wrenching on them, stopped trying to make anything fast, and I went and got a Jeep and lifted it. And that's where my off-road love came into play.
Nice.
Yeah, once you have a lifted Jeep, you know, it's lifted SUVs and trucks it's a different kind of fun. But yeah, we've got tons of projects right now as far as vehicles go. So
yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Volkswagen's how you and I met.
Yeah.
So we met through the Ohio VW, which I don't know if that's even really an organization as much as it is just a Facebook group anymore. It used to be.
Yeah. It used to be a pretty big deal.
A big deal here. But it's the original founder kind of dropped off of the scene, and so he's not doing that anymore. But I shouldn't say I've only ever owned Volkswagens. Since I started buying cars myself, I've only owned Volkswagens. But like you, I owned a 1994 Plymouth Sundance with a total of 95 horsepower.
Right.
That couldn't get out of its own way.
And it was an automatic.
And it was an automatic. And back in my hometown, I was driving up a hill, heading out to, I was heading up to Youngstown, up to Boardman. I was cutting through another town, and you had to go up over a hill. And I was heading up over that hill, and the speed limit on the hill was 35, and this thing wouldn't do 25 up that hill. Truck in front of me takes off up the hill, passes a cop. I get hit with a ticket for it. I get hit with a radar. He swings around, picks me up, pulls me over. It's my sister and I. And he's like, do you know how fast you were going? I'm like, well, I couldn't have been more than 25. This thing won't get out of its own way. He's like, I got you clocked at 45 miles an hour. And I'm like, that's impossible. And so I ended up having to pay fines, found out that my license was suspended, had been suspended for every bit of almost a year, because the state of Ohio at the time did not send out letters to let you know that your license was suspended. Was suspended for some other bullshit that not quite sure why, but
from all the cocaine you were smuggling.
It was all the cocaine I was smuggling.
Yeah, that'll get you on that.
In 1998. And
in a Sundance.
Yeah, in a white Sundance with red interior. And I get out of the car. He asked me to get out of the car. I get out of the car, and he walks around to the other side of his cruiser. And he's like, "Can you put your hands on the cruiser?" I'm like, "All right." I put my hands on the hood of the cruiser, and then he takes 3 steps back from the other side of the car and goes, "Your license is suspended." And I'm like, "Well, what'd you take 3 steps back for?" He's like, "Well, I wasn't sure if you were going to come over the hood of the car after me or not." And I'm like, No. So anyway, we get everything taken care of. I end up getting my license back after like a $3,000 fine, several calls to have someone come pick up the car so they don't impound the car.
Jeez. And
I called one of my mom's best friends who lived right down the road. She sent out her husband, who worked with the township police department, who tried to get them to just not even file anything. And they're like, "No, it's already been called in. Nothing. The whole nothing we can do about it. It's already been called in speech." So, and that was probably the worst ticket I've ever received.
Really?
I
had a string of tickets when I was younger.
So luckily I didn't have a string of tickets. I was all the speeding and all the other dumb shit that I've done, the drag racing that I used to do back when I first moved up here with that 95 horsepower GTI.
Right.
Never got caught. We never once did we get caught any place that we went, which was
some big drag races back then.
There were some huge drag races back then.
Like especially pre-Fast and Furious.
Well,
that stuff went down every single night.
This is like right around, let's see. So it would have been when I was working at Columbus Car Audio. And this was right around 2002.
Okay, so right after it came out.
So right after it came out, and there was a lot of just racers and all the other dumb shit that you would see with people. But then there were some guys that were serious about it. They come out.
Oh yeah,
600-700 horsepower Mustangs, 1,000 horsepower.
What about the guy that had the Excursion? That was like, it was a diesel Excursion. I don't know if you ever saw him run. He'd meet up on the east side of Columbus a lot.
I never saw him run. I saw the car a lot because we went out to everybody meet up at the old Hooters. On the east side. But there were guys that just had like 500 horsepower Mustangs and 600 horsepower Supras and all kinds of other stuff.
Which now 500 and 600 horsepower is nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing now. And then some other things that happened, and I'm trying to think of, like, then there were cars getting stolen.
Yeah.
From these meets. Like, they would just leave. They'd be like, "Well, I'm just gonna leave my car here. Hooters will run out to the spot, come back, car's gone."
Right.
Guys were putting, like, the one. I remember the one Mustang. It was stupid. It was like the 600 horsepower fastback, or not fastback, Fox body.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With a Chevy V8 in it, like a blown V8 in it.
Okay.
And I was like, what kind of blasphemy is this? And
right.
He's like, the guy. I mean, it was a street racing ring that used to be here in Columbus where they would sell cars. They would buy, steal cars, chop them, and just make whatever they needed to make. I mean, and they weren't messing around. They would. If they knew that they could race somebody and beat them, they'd be like, $5,000 of your car.
Yeah.
Choose one. I mean, they were dead serious about it. I mean,
it's crazy.
It was crazy, just some of the shit that...
It makes me wonder, too, because, like, when my dad was growing up, and him and his cousin talk about, hot rod this, hot rod that, and you got to imagine that kind of stuff happened back then, and it happened when we were younger. But today, I was talking with a buddy yesterday who had back when I was working here in Lancaster 4 or 5 years ago, him and I met up, and we walked outside, and I was like, man, look at that Grand National. I said, that's got to be like an 86, 87 Grand National. That's one of my all-time favorite cars.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I wonder who drives that. And he was like, it's mine. I just bought it like a week ago. I was like, shut up. So, like, I got to drive this Grand National, and I'd never got to drive one or ride in one. And we took it out, Carroll, on some back roads. Man, he's like, just tear into it.
Nice.
And I'm driving this Corvette killer, and it's like, I'm just feeling it. And then you get back to, like, him and I were working with the youth. He worked at his church, and I worked at a different church. And we got back, and these teens were just like...
And then you have to drive that Tercel.
That looks like... No, yeah, the road Tercel. No, that Tercel's been long gone. I think at the time I think I was driving my 78 Chevy K10, the lifted Chevy I had. But, yeah, we get back, and all these kids are standing around there just like, that looks like an old person car, and... it's all chunky, and I'm like, you guys just don't get it. So it's like the kids these days, and the thing is, there for like 10 to 15 years, nothing was cool. Came out of the factories. It was just garbage.
It all looked like shit.
Yeah, and then they redesigned the Mustang, and that looked cool because it was a throwback.
Yeah, but then it doesn't.
Right,
it doesn't.
exactly.
It still doesn't look right.
Right, and it's not the same. And then now we're getting to the point where people are going, hey, here's a 780 horsepower production car you can buy.
Yeah,
and it's starting to get back to where gearheads are like, there's something to be excited about again.
And they need to. I think during that whole period, it was like gas prices were almost $5 a gallon.
Yeah,
everybody was getting rid of their SUVs. I kept mine.
Yeah, me too.
I wasn't getting rid of that
Jeep.
I mean, even during that time, prices were starting to come down. That's when I had the Audi. I mean, my Audi was close to 300 horse, 325, something like that, with all the shit that I had put in it. And I had to put premium in that damn thing, and I think that cost me. It was $50 a fill up every time.
Right.
I mean, just the price of gas was just so damn high. But now that they're starting to do, you get Dodge doing the Hellcat, you've got them doing the Demon, which is that step up from the Hellcat now, that almost 1,000 or whatever, 800 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower production vehicle.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That I'll never be able to afford. But there's other companies that just kind of need to step up into this. I would love to see Volkswagen or Audi or BMW have something along the lines that would be somewhat affordable. I'm not looking for, what's the Hellcat go for? It's
it's got
$70,000, $80,000,
80 at least. Yeah.
I mean, why can't BMW do something along the same lines Or, I mean, granted, there's shipping and cost and all the other shit that goes into that. But there's got to be something they can do that competes with that in that price range that's around the 600 horsepower range. And I don't know if they have anything or not. I mean, I know the M3's not hitting that, but the M3, I mean, it's a magnificent car. That M4s and
well, and the M3, especially early to mid 2000s, that was like,
well, that was the car to have.
That was, that's what I wanted. And I'm not a BMW fan at all. My whole experience with the German vehicles has been so tainted by Volkswagen that if I hit $1 billion lottery tomorrow, I would never buy a BMW or Mercedes or anything.
Would you buy a Bugatti?
You know what? I don't think I would. Here's my thing with supercars. I think I would go rent a Bugatti at a track, like one of those things we can go on a NASCAR track and rent supercars. I don't see the point in paying more than I would for a house. Even if I had $1 billion,
$1 billion, you can buy a $1 million house.
I'd buy 100 acres and put a 2-3 bedroom log house on it. And then I'd have some outbuildings, but like, that's it. Like total property would be worth more than a Bugatti maybe, but I'm not, dude. The fastest cars I've ever driven were a Saleen Mustang and a Dodge Viper RT10.
Yep,
phenomenal. The Viper. We went by behind Soda Downs on Parsons Avenue in this Viper, and I was really young. I was early 20s. A friend of mine had it. He said, and I was like, this. I had this poster on my wall growing up. I had a poster of a Viper and a poster of a Lamborghini. I vividly remember them, and I always wanted a Viper because it was like, it's American made. And,
oh, yeah. I remember when they came out in 95.
Right, exactly.
They were stupid looking. They were red with yellow wheels. Yeah. They were ugly as hell.
It was like they were trying to go for the Ferrari look, but they had more of the American muscle body lines.
500 horsepower, 500 foot-pound of torque in a V10.
Right.
Yeah.
Which nowadays is nothing.
It's just, again.
But, I drove that Viper, and I'm in third gear. It was a 6-speed, and I'm in third gear, and I'd already broken triple digits. Oh, yeah. And I just pulled over, and I was like, I need to not drive this because I cannot afford to replace it, or I might kill us. But even driving my buddy Saleen, which the fastest I've ever driven was in that Saleen, and they're stupid fun.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't see the point of paying, especially when you're talking Bugatti, when we're talking Lamborghini, Ferrari, any of those supercars, McLaren, I think it'd be really, really fun to drive sometimes, but I can't see spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for something that just sits in the garage so you can tell people you have it.
Oh, I would drive it, but I'm that guy. I'm that guy that would take any supercar out in the snow, and they'd be like, "Oh, you would. There's a special place in hell for you." Yeah. You're right. There probably is. If I'm going to own something, I'm gonna drive it. I mean, I'm not going to
take it with you.
No, I'm not going to. I mean, there's a skier named John Olson. They've given him shit for, he had I think it was a Gallardo, all-wheel drive. Immediately went and had a ski case made for it, or bought one. I'm not sure what it was. Had it put on the top of his Gallardo.
And they all freaked out.
Everybody freaked out because he's taken out in the snow. He's like, it's all-wheel drive. It's perfect. Right. Put snow tires on it. I'm good to go. Got rid of that. Bought an Audi R8. Did the same thing. Yeah. People lost their minds. Bought an RS6 wagon. Everybody's like, oh, it's perfect for the snow. What's the difference between that RS6 and those other two cars? They're in the same price range, the same horsepower. All three of them are made by the same manufacturer, almost the same damn motor. And then he took that car, put it down in a shop, did what he called the DTM conversion, made 1,000 horsepower, drove that around. There's videos you can find of him he did Uber. He'd do 15-minute drives on Uber. Yeah. And just drive people around the block. I think he either sold it or the car was, I think he sold it and then someone stole the car and torched it.
Nice.
He owns the car again and he's rebuilding it. He went and bought the shell of the car and I think he's rebuilding it. He's had it rebuilt, completely rebuilt. He calls it the Chimera now and it is amazing.
Yeah. I'll have to look it up. I don't get the supercar thing. I really don't. Like you know what? Here's what I would spend way more money on than I should. If I hit the lottery and could buy any car, my all-time favorite dream car is a 71 true Hemi Cuda convertible.
Oh yeah.
And I found out that in 71, the true Hemi Cudas, they only made a handful. I'm talking like 17 of them or 26 of them. People had taken convertible Cudas, Barracudas, and dropped a Hemi in it. Mm-hmm. But from the factory, there's only like a handful made. So when you see him, because I love watching Barry Jackson.
Oh yeah,
it's like when you're a kid, you're looking through the Toys R Us catalog and circling 100 things. You're never going to get them all. Yeah. So I watch Barry Jackson, and every time there's a any Hemi Cuda, they go for stupid money.
Yeah. Oh, anything,
especially 71s. You get a 69 Cuda, really nice. They'll bring in, 30, 40,000 maybe. You get a 71 Hemi Cuda, you're talking six figures.
Yeah.
So I've always realized that my dream car will never be obtainable to me. So if I hit the lottery, I would bypass every Lamborghini, every Ferrari,
just go straight for that.
Straight for the 71 Hemi Cuda and be happy. I'd get that, and I'd have, I'd probably do a rat rod truck. Like I'd do older vehicles. I like the nostalgia of it. My truck is an old, beat up inline six, 4.9 liters bored out from a 300 306, and it's got a bit of torque to it, but it's not fast.
But that patina
is awesome. But I love the truck. I do. It's like I drive it, especially days like today where it's sunny. I wish it was a little warmer.
I can't believe you lifted it back up.
I had to.
No.
Yes, I did. That thing was bottoming out. It wasn't lowered properly. If my buddy Clay is listening, who I bought it from, I've already told him, so so I'm not going to apologize. But he cut the springs. He got these lowered I-beams that actually are made for an 87 to 96. So my front bolt pattern's different than my rear. So it was something that Clay bought as a toy.
Yeah.
And he's like, everything I do is going to be the cheapest I can do. Like he painted himself in his garage, except for the hood. The hood's all original patina.
Yeah.
But it's just he just likes having fun with old trucks.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So no, not at all. Because he has a 78 Lincoln that's awesome. He's got a 95 BMW that's a toy, and then he daily drives like a Cadillac CTSV or something.
You should go get the lowering springs from Jigs and put them on that. It looks so much better when it was lowered.
Well, here's the thing: it's still lower because I left the I-beam, so it's 2 inches lower than factory. And I get that everybody said that, but the difference is I use this for a daily driver, and I'm working as a commercial electrician. So I go to a job site and I can't even get onto the site.
Yeah, park on the street.
So, right, just park and walk a mile, with your tools. Then when you forget something, walk back.
Yeah, no big deal.
But no, I did like it lowered, and it did get a lot of attention, because it's definitely different. You don't see many lowered 82 Fords running around, but it's something that I want to be able to use every day, and not have to worry about. I was driving down Dad's gravel drive, kind of like yours is, and was just plowing a path.
Oh, my driveway is awful.
So it's I was like, I got to at least be able to drive in a gravel driveway with this thing. If I'm going to, maybe down the road, I'll buy a different daily driver and then I'll just have fun with this. Maybe drop in, a big block or something. I don't know. But for right now, it's I just need something dependable. And it runs great. I mean, it's seriously, I get in, fire it up in the middle of winter, don't matter.
No it just runs.
And it's very
not
simple.
Shit today. I mean, the cars today, too many electronics and everything else.
Oh my gosh, man. Well, that was one of the problems with one of my Volkswagens was the electronics.
Oh, you got the gremlins.
Yes. The 1.8 turbo and a 2002 Jetta. And that thing was never right. And then we had an 01 Passat with the same engine. And once we got rid of those, my father-in-law was a huge Volkswagen guy. He had an old Super Beetle. He still does, sitting in his garage. He had Vanagons of various different eras. He has had a new turbo diesel Beetle when they first came out in the early 2000s. He's a big Volkswagen guy. They had Rabbit trucks. They had old Rabbits and Jettas, And so I was like, yeah, I'll get one. And the first time I drove that '02 Jetta with that turbo, the first turboed engine I had, I came off of the Tercel I said was my first car, was actually my second. My first car was a 91 Geo Prism. Automatic. Yeah.
Ooh.
Blocky. Same as the old Toyota Corolla.
Yeah.
That was my first
awful
car. Yeah, but it had a sunroof, so I thought it was sweet. So that was my first car. It caught fire and burned in the ground. Second car that I got used with that insurance money was the Tercel, which got rolled. Right. So then I moved on to the Jeep and slowed everything down and just kind of enjoyed it. The Jeep ran phenomenally. I think in 4 or 5 years I owned it, I might have changed the oil 3 times. I just abused the crap out of it, and it just kept going. It was clean. I'd let the oil go for a year and a half, and I'd drain it, and it'd be fine. Put new oil in, new filter. It was good. I loved that Jeep. And then, so when I got to this turbo Jetta, it was the fastest car I'd ever driven. It's front wheel drive, and what's the horsepower on a '02 Jetta? 140.
Yeah, I think
150, something like that.
I think it's listed at 150. Yeah.
Okay, so but just hearing that turbo spool up and that thing chirp the tires, I was like, this is awesome, and I loved it. And for the first 3 to 4 months, everything was great. And then problems started happening. And for the next 5 years, I was paying payments on a car that never ran right. And my idiot self in the midst of that bought the '01 Passat because it was a 5-speed with the turbo, power windows, power sunroof, and just for years we were paying payments on 2 vehicles that sat more than they ran. So I was like, I will never own another Volkswagen ever again. And my wife's she has two favorite cars of hers. One's a Ford Falcon, 64 Falcon.
Okay.
Which I love the idea of having, but the other one's a Volkswagen thing. And
no,
I don't get that at all.
I'm not a huge fan of the things. I mean, my dad was, some of the cars he had growing up were, he had a Beetle. He had a 68 Camaro, I think, which is, from my understanding, I've never looked it up. I never tried. I think it's like the 68 is like a very rare year to try to find. It's like 68 and a half or something like that. Whatever that year is one that he had.
Okay.
And then he sold it, and then he regretted it. He said that would be the one car that if he could go back and talk to himself, he'd be like, keep that car.
Right.
Don't get rid of that.
Hold on to that one.
Hold on to that car. Don't get rid of it. Because he got rid of it because he got in trouble. It was one of those things where he would go out and drive country roads back in East Ohio, and he'd every time get pulled over by the cops because he's just out country road speeding. But he said that's a car that he would keep. And if I could go pick any car that I wanted, it probably wouldn't be a supercar as well. It might be something old. Like, I'm a huge fan of the old air-cooled Porsches.
Yeah.
Like just before they went water-cooled. So probably get like in the 70s or 80s. Try to get like a 911 or something along that line.
Those are just fancy Volkswagens.
Pretty much, but God, they look so nice.
They do. They really do. I've always liked the looks of them. I don't think I will ever fit in one.
I don't think anybody actually ever fits in one. I think you just shoehorn yourself in and then make
Pretend
it work.
You're comfortable.
Yeah. But my dad had a Beetle. He had I think it was a Super Beetle that he blew up the motor in. And so he was out looking for another motor for this car, ran up to the junkyard, air-cooled Porsche motor, put it in this Beetle. And he's like, we got this thing out for the first time. First gear, wheels come off the ground. Second gear, wheels stay off the ground. He goes, and it's just thump, wheels hit the ground, and you just take off. He goes, I don't know how many times I got in trouble by your grandfather.
Yeah.
For black marks down he goes, because the thing was, it was amazing. He goes, he went from something that produced 45 horsepower to something that produced 100 horsepower in half a ton.
Yeah.
He goes, it was the most fun vehicle that I ever owned. So I think you would go with your Cuda. I would go build this Beetle or step it up a notch, get the old Porsche and put like a Subaru motor in it, like a WRX, like the flat 4 turbo motor in it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
To do kind of the same thing, modernize it a little more, just kind of make it sleeper.
See, that's the thing too. Like I just, with me in cars, I know of guys that have, like I said, Vipers and Supras and these new Camaros and these new Challengers and Chargers and all this. And then I know a guy that has an 87 Fiero and it's like primered black and it's all the glory that an 87 Fiero is, but it runs a 12-second quarter mile.
God, those things are so ugly.
So, I agree. And I told, actually, him and I got new tires on my truck Friday. Well, he happened to be at this place too.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him in person in like 5 years. So I finally go see the car in person. And I was just like, I love this thing because it is ridiculous. Like, I'd never own it. It's ugly as all get out. But I said, I love the fact that you've got this primered black Fiero that you've done he does a lot of the work himself.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Oh,
too.
you do?
I'm sure.
And it runs at like a 12-second quarter mile. But I'm like, that's so much cooler to me that you built that than somebody went and bought a Hellcat. Like, Hellcats are sweet, don't get me wrong.
Right. But
there's nothing to writing a check.
We've got, that thing, what is that, mid-engine? Or they consider that rear engine?
Yeah, mid or rear.
Yeah,
it's where the trunk's supposed to be.
Yeah, there's a little bit of trunk space in the back and some up front. And
there's like a bucket in the back, and then there's a little glove box under the hood.
Yeah,
that's about it.
God, this thing.
Matter of fact, the two tires he'd ordered online, he brought them to the tire shop in the passenger seat, and they're
not going to fit anywhere else.
No, and they barely fit the passenger
Strapped
seat.
Into
two
the
tires
hood.
for the So it was just funny to me. Here I am with my truck. I was like 8-foot bed. I fit his whole car in it. Yeah.
Well, there used to be a Fiero dealer in my hometown. Really? And when I say dealer, it was a towing. It was basically a body a shop, a body shop, not a body shop, but a mechanic shop. And one of the guys there was big into Fieros. He would go out and buy Fieros and then bring them back to the shop, fix them up, and then sell them outside. So he would sell. He had like a hunter green one that he somehow managed to cram a 350 into it.
Where?
In the back.
Cut everything else
He
out?
cut everything out of it.
Extend the axles about 3 feet?
He just, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what he did, but you
That's
knew
nuts.
when he drove it, you knew he was coming down the road.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then there was the Fiero Guinea that he just modified the original engine and picked up the Lamborghini
The body
kit for it. And then he had so that was another one of his own personal cars that he ended up selling out of there. He had one that looked like a Testarossa. So it just had a Testarossa body on it.
Yeah.
And it was, I think the Fiero came with a V6 at one point instead of the 4-cylinder. So it was a souped up V6 that was in that one. But just all these just random Fieros that had these modifications to them. Ugliest damn things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
second
ugly.
ugliest. I think the Pontiac Aztec is the ugliest.
Well, there's that, and there's that new Tesla Model X.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
You go ahead and look that up.
Let
You
me
look
Google
at
that.
it. You look at that, and you'll be like, oh, it doesn't look bad. Look at it with the doors open.
Because Pontiac has made some of the ugliest, some of the most beautiful classic vehicles, but some of the ugliest vehicles through the 80s and 90s.
That's why they're not in business anymore.
Right, exactly. So let me. I'm looking
Yeah,
up.
you look up the Tesla Model X, and it's got gull wing doors. So
Yeah, I don't like gull-wing doors on anything.
they only look good on the one Mercedes or DeLorean. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it's that supercar cool factor.
It's not even that. That the Mercedes gull wing wasn't a supercar.
No.
It was just a car that you could buy, what, in the 60s, I think, for $7-8 grand. And it somehow became like this nostalgic car. And a DeLorean, I would not classify the DeLorean as a supercar.
Yeah, but those aren't gull-wing doors. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they are.
I'm thinking of the Lamborghini.
You're thinking of the Lamborghini, like
Yeah.
the scissor,
right.
scissor style.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the scissor style doors.
I have to restart my phone here. No, yeah. Okay, the gull-wing, I get it now.
Yeah, the gull wings are the ones that just kind of open up
Yeah, on the side.
on the side.
Yeah, I don't like those.
You can't park next to anybody because
The
you
only
can never
reason-
get out of
I
the
mean,
car.
The only reason they work on the DeLorean, and the only reason the DeLorean even works is because of
Back
a
to the
movie.
Future.
Exactly. Otherwise, nothing great about it except they don't rust out.
No one was really a DeLorean fan until Back
No.
to the Future.
There's a reason they didn't last.
Well, AMC didn't last,
Right.
but I would own a DeLorean. There was a guy here in town who had a DeLorean. He had the thing painted red, and I thought people were going to murder him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once you paint it, you can't get that off.
Right. You're done.
The stainless steel's too porous.
Yeah, we
Couldn't
saw a DeLorean at Chipotle in Canal Winchester a few months ago on the way home from work, and whoever owned it, we didn't go and talk to the guy, but we had to stop because they had it all decked out like Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, every detail, even the interior and everything. So I
Wow.
was like, for fun, for a project, maybe, I don't know. But
Maybe it was a movie car.
It may have been, but that was a lot of work somebody put into that, if not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking up Tesla.
Tesla Model X.
Okay.
There's running around here too. If you may or may not have seen it, there is someone took a Dodge Magnum, and it looks like the Echo One from Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
So it's not bad, but it's not good.
Oh, yeah, the second picture of the Model X is with the back
Yeah, with the
wing.
back doors open, and that just
Why?
looks. They just
How do the front doors open?
normal.
So they only going the back,
Yeah,
and I love everything that Tesla's doing,
I do too. But that
not this.
not that. I can't do that.
It honestly, you know what it looks like? It reminds me of like a Mazda 3 or a Mazda 6.
Yeah.
With going doors on the rear. And honestly, the back seat has about as much legroom as like a second gen Eclipse.
I wish they would have just taken a cue from like the 1950 Mercury convertible and did the suicide doors on the back.
Yeah. That
Would have been sweet. But no, they did that. And that is,
Oh, it looks awful. It looks
It
worse
looks-
than white.
it looks better when the doors are closed and never open.
Yeah, the doors are closed. It looks like a decent sedan.
have them welded shut.
Looks like a sedan. Well, it kind of almost looks like a
It's
crossover.
It's a crossover.
Yeah, it's got that slope back. It sits a little
Yep.
higher, bigger wheels. And it doesn't look bad. I don't know if I like the front end because there's no grill and it just looks weird.
None of them have a grill.
I know. And that's what, it's just odd too. It's like something's missing. It's just this front open area. But
And I'm still a huge fan of the original Roadster, like the Tesla Roadster. Like
absolutely.
That thing, some of these other, I mean, I can't afford anything that Tesla's putting out today. I don't care if I factor in the cost of gas or not.
Right.
I can't afford it because my drive's too far. I would have to, I'd constantly be charging that car up.
Yeah.
It would get to work on like 1% battery left,
it's
charge
like
it up.
One of the first Samsungs or iPhones.
Or
everybody had chargers everywhere because...
Or the Galaxy S6 that I have in my pocket that doesn't hold a...
oh, yeah, I got the S7.
Yeah, it doesn't hold a charge for shit.
Man, my S7 is worse for wear.
What the hell did you do?
Dude, here's the thing.
Every time I bought a phone... The whole back of that thing is cracked.
Every time I bought a phone, I used to do the Best Buy go in, hey, the last generation phone is now $1 if you redo your 2-year contract.
Yeah.
I did that for 15 years or however long, and I always immediately, I bought the phone for $1 and then spend like 60.
Throw it on the ground when you get outside.
Stomp on it because I'm like, it's only $1. No, I would immediately spend like $60 or $80 on an OtterBox. Back when OtterBox was like the only case, And so my phones, I'd use them for a couple of years and they'd still look brand new. Well, now I've got this case that has my logo on the back for my forging knives and things, and it's cool and it protects it. But I'm now doing construction type work. I'm running conduit. I'm humping pipe. I'm down in ditches, so my phone's getting a little more trash than when I was sitting at a desk all day.
Yeah.
So it's just, honestly, until we took the case off here, I did not realize
that it was broke. That the back was broke.
I knew the camera was. I knew that was busted. That's been busted for 5 or 6 months now. But
damn. I thought I was hard on phones.
Yeah, this phone I've definitely abused more than any other. It's held up well. But the S7 battery lasted a lot longer than the S6 did.
My S6 battery, I mean, we were out yesterday. I mean, we are switching topics like a son of a bitch.
Yeah, we are. We're shifting gears.
Yeah, we are. So we were out yesterday, and I have to keep my phone basically charged in all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm standing here now, before you showed up, I was at 54%. I'm at 70% now, and it would probably charged up to 80%, and I haven't used my phone, and we've just been standing. We've just been recording for the past 50-some minutes.
Yeah.
And I just dropped 10%, and it hasn't done a thing. We were out yesterday, and I used my navigation to get down to Cincinnati, had it plugged in, stayed at 100%. We got to where we were going, used my phone while we were there. It was down like 30%. Never got back above 50% once it was plugged back in.
Yeah.
Driving with navigation and listening to some music until I got home and plugged it in last night and went to bed.
Yeah, when I had the S6, I had a Mophie case, so I could always just flip that switch on the back and it would just charge it
back up.
I knew I'd need at least 2 batteries to get me through the day, so I'd like leave home with it charged, and once it gets to the low, I'd flip that on, and the Mophie case would charge it back to like 90-something%.
Right.
And I can usually make it through a work day.
Yeah, so I've been tempted to go back to iPhone, but I haven't had an iPhone since the iPhone 3 came out.
Yeah.
And when I left, I'm like, I'll never go back to this again.
Yeah.
And then I ended up buying an iPhone 6 and sold it within 2 weeks of having it.
Yeah, I've had iPhones for work at a couple jobs where they provide them, and I literally only use it to make calls or text for work.
Yeah.
Anything else I send to my Galaxy, because it just, and I get it. I know somebody's going to be like, oh, the iPhone's so much better and so much more user friendly. And the only person that I've ever talked to has a legitimate reason for having an iPhone over a Samsung, because this day it's kind of like the trucks. This day and age, everything's pretty close on par. They're just different features.
The whole usability thing. So let's jump back to that. People are, oh, the iPhone's so much easier to use than the Android. They're the same.
Yeah.
You touch the phone icon, you dial a number, you hit call. You touch the text message icon, you get a text message, you type on the keyboard. There's no difference, in my opinion, on how they work.
Right.
Other than iPhone puts everything right there on the home screen for you, and you don't have the option to hide.
I hate that.
Hate it. I'm with
you.
you.
Desktops, computer desktops.
Yeah.
I hate a million icons.
I want everything. I want everything on one page, and I want it to be clean. And I don't want anything.
Right.
I don't want to have to use folders if I don't have to. I don't want to have to do any of the other garbage. But it's all the other crap that comes with it. You buy an iPhone, you're not actually buying the iPhone. Apple will not let you do whatever you want to that iPhone.
Right.
And it's almost the same thing. It's getting that way with Android now, but it's more the carrier. The carrier is not letting you root the phone as opposed to jailbreaking an iPhone, so that you can do the additional stuff, the features that Apple should add, or they'll add, I don't know, in 2 or 3 years when they get around to it, when they perfect somebody else's idea and rip it off of them and not pay them for it. But Google does the same thing, except they do it faster and they put it out just so that it's out there, and then they perfect it later. which I kind of like because then you get to play around with it a little bit. But the whole iPhone versus Android thing is ridiculous. I've owned them both. I just happen to prefer my Android because it's a little bit more customizable. And yeah, granted, maybe the battery life doesn't work, and maybe Facebook's stealing all your information off of Android phones.
Regardless of what kind of phone you have.
But yeah, so and that's one of the reasons well,
and it used to be I still have a cousin that said, for his business he runs, his iPhone syncs with everything. Everything that he does is he can go from device to device, tablet, computer, phone, whatever. But now with Google jumping on board and working with Android, Google does the same. So my emails on my computer, my login, all that crap happens with Android now too.
Yeah, well, I've had that. I mean, so I've always had a Gmail account.
Right.
Like I've never not had a Gmail account since I think the first round of invites came out. So I've had my Gmail account, several of them, forever. So, but when I had the iPhone 3, there was an option to sync contacts, sync email, those things to your iPhone. Mm-hmm. And once I figured out how to do that, boom, all my stuff came right through there. All my contacts got loaded back out. So if I put a contact in my phone, it went to my Gmail account. Then I had access to it through my laptop.
Right.
Once Android came out, I did the same thing. Contacts never get saved in my phone. They always get saved straight to my. So everything is synced through. Yeah. Even when I have to sign up for something, if I have to log into something, I just use my Gmail account or my Google account to sign into it. That way I know I don't have to worry about a login. Excuse me. I just click a button and I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah. My favorite thing too, this day and age, and I know technology is good and bad, and I know the stuff that happens that we don't even understand or know about.
Right.
But I love the fact that when I'm filling out, I go to order a car part or a knife or whatever it is I go to get, I start typing in my name where, you put in the buyer, the information to buy something online.
Yeah.
And I hit the letter R, and it gives me the option to select my name and just autofills everything.
Autofills.
And that's incredible to me because I hate filling out all that crap online. It's kind of like when if you go to apply for a job online, they want you to upload your resume and a cover letter, but then they ask you all the same stuff that's already in a resume and cover letter.
Well, some of the sites now are pulling that information. They're grabbing that Word document, they're pulling it in, and they're able to get that information, which is kind of nice. So
it's about daggone time.
Yeah, it is about time. Because it's only taken 10 years. The internet's only been around for 11.
It's funny. We were talking about vehicles and how new technology is a pain in the butt and all these electrical gremlins. Now we're talking about how awesome technology is for all our other devices.
I know.
Basically what we're saying is leave our vehicles alone, but make our phones and computers really easy.
I want 2 wires in my engine bay.
Right.
Power and neutral.
I was at work and the foreman on the job I'm on now, he has a 2010 Lincoln MKZ.
Yeah.
Nice car. It's leather interior and all this. And I was like, man, I haven't checked my oil in a couple of weeks. So I popped the hood and he walked over and he was like, holy crap, I can see everything. Like I've got an inline 6 and a battery.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it.
Carbureted.
And then you're looking at the ground underneath that. And yeah, I got the carburetor and a little air cleaner, my round air filter on top, and that's it. I mean, when I first got the truck, my buddy had done so much to it that to start it, he used to spray carb cleaner and all this or starter fluid.
Ether.
And anything, yeah, ether, whatever. And
does this smell funny to you?
He disconnected some of the thing. He'd mess with the carb a little. Well, I ordered a remanufactured carb, and literally my dad and I went down to his barn where all his tools are, and just really not even working fast or hard or anything. I took a bolt out, removed the air filter, 2 bolts for the carb, and disconnected the fuel.
Take it out.
Pulled it out, put the new one on, hooked it all up, got a little fuel in there, fired right up.
Done.
And that was it. And you can't do that this day and age.
No, you got to take the intake manifold off, and then you got to pull the injectors, and you got to do
if you can even do
fuel
that,
rail.
They're trying to make it to where you can't. Well, there are actually manufacturers that will void your warranty if you do work on your own vehicle.
They're trying to make it so you can't change your own oil.
Right.
BMW tried to do that a couple years ago, where they didn't put a place to actually drain the oil out of their pans.
Yeah,
I think you had to siphon it through the tube,
really,
the dipstick, which is now how I change all my oil. But yeah, you had to siphon it out through the tube, through the dipstick tube, and that was the only way you could change your oil. Not everybody had the siphoning,
right?
The product to do that.
You had to pay them.
You had to pay someone who had the ability to do it, or you had to take it back to the BMW dealership and pay close to $150. So anyway, I think we should
wrap it up.
So
call that one a day.
Yeah, we'll call this one a day.
Shift gears into park.
Yeah, in the park for sure. So we'll call this one episode 1, and y'all have a great day.
Catch y'all next time. Be sure to like, share, whatever, and give us some feedback on this, and give us some suggestions, things you might want to talk about, or what's going on in the world today. So catch y'all later.
See ya.